I started this painting with a really clear composition in mind. I wanted to go for overlapping of shapes, which is one of the concepts that I use a lot in my process with abstract art, and also one of the 18 go-to solutions, compositional solutions, that I teach in my art course, Confident Abstracts, that is, by the way, just launched now and is now available. You can find it by going through the link that I'm gonna put in the description box down below. This video is kind of a part 2 to another video that many of you loved and asked me to show more of the progress. That other video called One Strong Composition Equals Everything, and you can also find it link in the description down below to this video. But because so many of you asked to see this painting progress and how do I take this composition further, how do you take some principle and how do you keep building on it and like how it evolves. So I want to show you in this video how do you keep this initial structure alive while still making big moves and changes along the way. But before we dive into it, hey, my name is Esther Franchuk. I'm an abstract artist, a painter, traveler, creative. I make videos about my studio life, my creative process, tips for artists and collectors, and so much more. So if you don't want to miss any of the coming videos, make sure to subscribe and hit notification bell so you stay in the loop of life in the studio. As you can probably tell, this painting went through a lot of changes. It evolved a lot, as did I. With the previous video, when I just started this painting, it was my last months of pregnancy. It felt like forever. Anyone could be pregnant for so long. It just felt overwhelming in the last couple of weeks. So a lot of videos that you have been seeing over the last months, and probably they're still going to be coming, have been pre-filmed because I was trying to stay as productive and prolific and just think forward, like look forward, and really keep in mind that I'm gonna have this sweet stage with a newborn that I will need to put a lot of time and care into that. So I was working really hard in order to set myself for success kind of, and really not miss on the content in this window where we're going to be enjoying the time with our little one. So as you see, I'm not pregnant anymore. I'm back to the studio and it has been a wonderful month. Nothing can have prepared us for what was coming with a newborn life, but I feel like we are managing it really well together as a family and as a creative business. So once I was able to get back into the studio, I made a lot of progress on this painting, and now I wanna kind of update you on where it is and what did I do to actually bring it one step further, and how do I build on this initial concept that I started with. So it has been a lot of work and it's still in the work. I feel like it's still middle stage, but it's slowly coming together as a whole. I didn't like fix anything and I didn't just stick to the initial idea that I had, but I kept the essence of the principle of overlapping of shapes and I'm trying to build on top of it. So how did it look moving forward? And as I was working on it, that I was trying to keep those organic circular shapes, and also, as you can see, I added some new ones over here. I'm trying to have a focal point somewhere around this spot, while I still like added like flower elements, and this is like also circular shapes that kind of support the idea, but they are more like balloon, watermelon, something like really interpretive. I, at this point, start adding new shapes and also fading the shapes that didn't feel right. As you can see, like the initial structure is still there because all of those spots and the resting space, like it's still in the places where it used to be, and also this supportive edge and this, I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep it exactly in the way it is right now. I definitely like building up more in this area, and I feel like maybe something over here will need to eventually break down even more in order to give it more room to breathe. I also fading shapes that don't serve me necessarily, like here just simplifying, also simplifying the edges. Like I start adding more texture around and in the resting space, and then I felt it's too much. Now also, as I was working flat, and I couldn't see like quite how most of the elements work together, because it's really important with painting, especially when they're big, to really stand back and see it from a distance, so you like see more of what is working and what is not, and if you have like any like major mistakes, it's just really hard to see it up close, so you have to kind of take a break and hold like a distance with a piece to see what needs to be changed. And what I see right now, maybe some of those shapes need to be faded more in order for this part to stand out, and maybe something has to happen with the scale, because now it's a little bit too repetitive. There's different solutions that could be done to it. I don't know which one I will go for yet, but it's definitely something that I just noticed coming back to this painting today, that it's a little bit too repetitive and I need to play slightly a little bit more with a scale in order to make it work. But as you can see, like, initial structure is still there. It's still built on this like circular oval type of shapes. Some of them blended a bit more, some of them simplified. Some of them I will add actually more contrast and will emphasize a little bit more, and like I already did here, but even more moving forward. But overall, the initial structure stays the same. The important thing though about composition, it's not something that you just like set up from the beginning and then it's just static and it works. It has to develop and it has to evolve in the stages, even though it is a compositional principle and it's something that you can help yourself to set yourself for success in the beginning. And it's important to start strong, but you kind of need to keep going strong. You couldn't just like start strong and then be like really tied to like those shapes and lines that like look for you successful in the very beginning, because it's still initial stage. And composition is something that evolves, and it will evolve through the stages, through the layers. Painting will keep asking for more. As you paint more, as you work in layers, you will need to like shake and move and adjust things and reimagine many things, and maybe even like rebuild the composition a little bit while still keeping the initial inspiration. Sometimes you might not even keep the initial inspiration, but you will go maybe for a different concept. But the beginning point will just help you kind of in this initial first stage to keep moving. But as you work in layers and painting keeps asking for more and you might need to change it, it's just really important to keep it in mind that every next layer, every next painting session will challenge you to make choices. And as you're making choices moving forward, you need to keep composition in mind, and you have to see what works and what serves and what maybe has to let go. Color palette wise, I actually changed the narrative a little bit. If you saw the first part and how this painting began, it was basically just lots of yellow, orange and red shades. I felt like I want to start like really bold in color, but then as I was moving further and I decided to really roll and keep all of the yellows and oranges and some red in it, but I wanted to make it more sophisticated, and I believe from what I noticed from my own color palettes and what I'm choosing, purple one also has been doing really well, and many paintings in this color palette sold, and it's just something that I authentically gravitate a lot to, this like gold and purple kind of complementary color combo. So it was really coming organically to me as a complementary to all of the yellows, and I had to make this choice with still like keeping some pop of red, but really getting it to a point where I love the color palette. And it also shaped the narrative of composition in some way too. I believe composition and color story really like work hand in hand, and they are those like two strong aspects of every successful painting. And this is just one of the compositional solutions, and it's still going to be evolving. I do go a lot more in depth about my process, and I share 18 different compositional solutions. This is just one of them in my abstract course that is, by the way, available now. Super excited to share it with you all. And I also talk about color palette and its multiple exercises on both color palette and composition, interior color studies, and so much more. I also work start to finish, like from the beginning touches to the very end, naming and framing on 3 pieces. Different composition, different color story, slightly different process, different compositional principles, no time lapses, nothing sped up, really taking you in on this whole journey from initial initial thought idea and inspiration, what could even serve as inspiration in the beginning point for the painting, and then how it evolves and how I work through the middle stages, how I make choices, how I make those decisions in between of how to move forward where I get stuck, or where I second guess myself, where I don't know how to proceed with a piece. And this all is just documented, and it's probably something that is really vulnerable to me, because I don't like sharing the in-between stages. I like sharing about beginnings, and I like sharing about the final pieces, and everything in between kind of stays as a mystery. So it's the first time I'm unwrapping my whole process and how I go about creating my paintings in such detail, basically fully recorded, like every brushstroke, which I feel like gives so much value exactly because of that you can see not just a successful choices, but all of the bad choices in between, and how to navigate and how to balance and how to choose color palette or change color palette in the moment, and how to really work with a painting and collaborate on this creative journey with each piece, and how to let it evolve through the stages and to become a sophisticated interior piece that collectors would love. So if you're interested in learning more about my creative process, my process with abstract art, and how I go about creating my paintings, make sure to follow the link in the description box down below, and there you can find all of the information about the course. Again, this is still a middle stage, and there is many things that have to be done to this piece. It's still too busy, and it needs more adjustments of the scale and color, also more resting space. I just wanted to let you in to show you how this initial compositional principle evolves, how to build on it, like what are the ways to bring it further and to keep the initial idea while like building in layers and like getting with the same idea for the layers. So you will see the furthest updates on this painting or the final version of it probably in one of the next videos. And until then, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about this painting, this video, or my abstract course. I love reading all of your comments, and it really helps me to create better content for you guys. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you next week.